welcome to NED Talks. So this is the first of what we are planning to be an ongoing series of podcasts and videocasts featuring the latest stories and articles from the pages of New Equipment Digest and the latest trends and news coming out in the industrial equipment market. And because this is our first episode, we decided to start off with a treat. So first, introductions. I'm Travis Hessman. I'm the chief editor of New Equipment Digest. And here I have John Hitch, staff writer.
So today we have Andy Lowery, the CEO of RealWear, which just this month launched the HMT-1 for full distribution. So Andy, there seems to be a new wearable coming out like every week or every month, and all of them claim to be a game changer. But the HMT-1, from what I've seen, actually does what you say it does. So I think our audience is going to be really happy about this. So why don't you just jump in and tell us what the HMT-1 does and why they should care about it.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I have it sitting here in front of me on what's called a bump cap, which is used in some manufacturing facilities like Boeing 787 line. Guys wear this type of a cap, and you can see on it is this wearable computer. And this wearable computer is basically, the simplest way to think about it is it's a rugged Android tablet that you drive with your voice versus drive with your hands. So if we think about a traditional tablet, it looks like a tablet, right? It's like an old, Moses tablets, that sort of a thing. And you hold in one hand and then you manipulate the screen by gestures, swipe, zoom, pinch to zoom, that sort of thing. This is also an Android tablet, although it doesn't look like a tablet. It's a wearable device that has all the same electronics that a tablet would have in it: Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, memory. You can see it behind me, wanting to get started already. So it's already jumping to order. So you use your voice to actually control it. And so instead of doing gestures and swipes, you do things like, and the audience can maybe see the screen behind me, I can say, I put the screen, this is a small micro screen that I see that takes the shape or the form of about a 7-inch tablet when I'm looking at it this close to my eye. So I'm looking down at it right now and I can say, navigate home. Nope, I didn't do it. One thing I got to remember is that you have to put a second pause before and after a command so it knows it's a command. So if I pause, navigate home, then it recognizes my command. So I'm teaching and training the folks out there as I'm working with it. So you can see here's the home screen in the background. This is exactly what I'm looking at in the display right now. And I've got my programs. So here's a number of applications, both some of them are applications and some of them third-party applications. And as I move my head, you can see the screen has got more applications than fits in one view. So I can move my head and I can pan left to right, go down to this side, and I can select something like My Files. And so now I'm in a File section, and I'm looking at some different schematics, a couple movies down there. Everyone's favorite, Iron Man. Let's see there, get started. Okay, so I can say video pause, navigate home. So you get the idea anyway. So now, why would anybody want something like this? Well, just think about work, right? Think about a guy at 100 meters off the ground that he's trying to fix a cellular phone tower. Think about a guy in an oil refinery. Think about a guy that's in a manufacturing plant and working with tools. Work is never hardly hands-free. You're always got your hands on tools. You've always got your hands on machinery or electronics or buried inside of a turbine. Never hands-free. You're always needing your hands. So why do we equip our people nowadays with electronic tools that require the use of both hands that then they'll have to exchange from the work to the tablet, back to the work again? This tablet doesn't require that at all. Yeah, so complicated assembly, maintenance, repair, operations, MRO it's called a lot of times, where you might fix something once a year or once every 3 years, or you may have never fixed it before. You've not seen that piece of machinery go down in that particular way. How do I fix it? What do? I have to call an expert. Sometimes I have to fly an expert from some location, some other country even, to come in to assist in the repair. Well, what if I had a device in situ that I could video conference a person in? You see the middle icon on the screen behind me is my camera. I have a camera, nice big 16 megapixel camera that views at exactly where my line of sight is, so it sees what I see. And now I have a speaker, a 91 decibel speaker. I have the microphones, obviously the 4 digital microphones. I bring that back to a laptop or a desktop back hundreds of miles away or thousands of miles away, and I can bring that expert into the field right where I'm at to help guide me through different sorts of things. So that's one example of something that Upskill has. They recently did an acquisition of a company called Pristine. That is a in-situ video conferencing program that works on our system amazingly well, as does their workflow instructions. So if you do look at their core business, it was all about workflow. And what's workflow? Workflow is step-by-step instructions, as you were pointing out, but then also, on the other side, mobile form entry. Because there's 2 aspects of doing work, right? Once you got to do the work, but then you want to document that you've done the work. So at the end of what you're doing, you want to maybe take a picture, maybe you want to take a video of the entire procedure that you're doing and save it for later. Well, this is the perfect device to pair with software companies like Upskill, which Brian Ballard and I are great buds, and he's a strong partner with us, one of our strongest. And looking at doing lots of fun stuff at GE, for example, with Upskill. So it's been an amazing ride, and we've embraced the software community at RealWear. We have 67 software partners, ISV type partners, and they range everything from Upskill to folks like Hewlett-Packard and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and an amazing group up in Canada called LibreScript that also does software that's very similar to the Pristine type remote expert type of stuff. So.
And the remote expert, it's not only important because if you're in Silicon Valley and there's a problem that happens in Raleigh or somewhere, you don't have to hop on a plane and figure it out. You could just pop on, or the worker could pop on the wearable, and then you can just look on your laptop or tablet and see. The other thing is the recording that you touched upon. So why do you think that's important? And have you seen that as a growing trend? Because all these people are going to be retiring soon in the next 5-10 years, that historical data is kept in the company, and you don't have to start from scratch.
That's right. That's the tacit knowledge of these experts, right? So there's in lots of industries in America, in the manufacturing industry, in the aerospace industry, in the oil and gas industry, it's called the Great Crew Change, where you have this bimodal workforce. You have a lot of baby boomers getting up there in their age, 50, 60, wanting to retire. And then you have a lot of millennials in their 20s and late 20s and early 30s coming in to replace them. And not a lot of people in between, not a lot of folks my age in their 40s or whatnot that are kind of acting as in what would traditionally be the person that takes the knowledge and has enough experience and then to pass it on to the other generation. So we're losing this tacit knowledge. And in some, not in nuclear power or in submarine work like you did before, John, and nuclear power was kind of my thing, you have everything's written down in those industries. Well, that's not the case in a lot of different places. In oil and gas, there are lots of procedures that are just knowledge of the worker force. And if you lose that, how do you're going to significantly drop in your efficiency to kind of reacquire and relearn these types of skills. So what I tell folks, because people go to me, geez, Andy, this is a fabulous device, but we're on pencil and paper. We're like, Jim, who's been doing this forever, he hardly checks his email. I don't have an IoT infrastructure and cloud. And I go, well, look, this guy's got this great big camera on it. It's got a display that you can just wrap right out of the way, completely out of the way. So now I can put this helmet on right like that, and it could be a hard helmet, could be this helmet. I've got the camera facing outward, and I've got one of the best voice systems that you've ever seen before. Plus, I have a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. So I can get 250 gigabytes of video capture, 8, 9, 12 hours of video capture. So I go out there in the field and I say to Jim, who's about to retire, he's got 2 years left to retire, I say, Jim, just stick this thing on your hard helmet. And when you're doing your procedures and we're taking tank 1 to tank 7 through manifold ABC, just state what you're doing. So tank 1 to tank 3, Step 1, turn valve A. Step 2, turn valve B. Step 3, turn valve C. And all of that video is getting recorded, and you're seeing exactly what he's seeing in the field. Now take those little SD cards and throw them in an envelope and put them in a drawer and just save them from some rainy day. And one day you're going to be the hero of the entire refinery. You're going to come and go, whoever did this is brilliant. Because you're going to take those videos, you're going to create a YouTube for these millennials. And guess what millennials do when they do anything? They fix their washing machine, they fix their bike, they're looking at YouTube. So now I'm creating an industrial YouTube with no connectivity, no IoT, nothing. It's simple. It's the simplest, most basic application.
Like John and I and the NED team, we're kind of geeks, and we get excited about things like that because, as I said, we're geeks, and it's cool, and it does things that haven't really been done before in this industry. And so it's easy to get excited about it, and it's easy to get carried away with it.
Sure.
So I wonder, when you're going in and you're talking to manufacturers, like, what is the business case that you make? What kind of improvements are you saying that this kind of technology is going to bring to them?
That's a great question. So the number one thing that we target is downtime, okay? Not, the old soft savings of Six Sigma and Lean and all that stuff. It's downtime. It means if I have a process that when it's not working or not going, I'm directly losing revenue, okay? One that anyone can get their head around would be an oil platform that pumps oil out of the ground deep beneath the ocean. If you have a oil platform, an average-sized oil platform at sea does around $1.5 million of revenue per day, okay, per day. So if you lose a pump, that shuts down that entire system. Until you get that system back up and running, you're losing $1.5 million per day in revenue. The average time an oil platform through an unexpected outage stays down is 12 days. Okay? So there's a hilarious story. It was a LibraStream story, actually, that he was telling, the guy Jeremy was telling me at LibraStream. He said, look, Andy, he goes, I was out there helping these oil guys, and they had this problem out at sea where one of their platforms went down, and we did a in-situ remote expert, remote guidance, remote mentoring, teaching the person how to do it that didn't know how to do it, who was already on the platform. And I got done, I said, gosh, what a great ROI I gave you guys. It's like $40,000 to get a guy in an airplane and boat him out there and do all this stuff. Saved you guys $40,000, it's amazing. The guy said, you know what, you didn't save us $40,000. We got that plant back up and running in 6 days. You saved us like $6.5–7 million. It's amazing the ROI if you target it. But
what have you seen so far with your test cases on the safety that a voice-driven wearable brings?
So, first of all, let's just get down to the basics. You're right. So, to the general audience, what are the 3 things that we target as far as the benefits of a device like this? 1 is safety, 2 is productivity, and the 3 is that tacit knowledge transfer. So we kind of hit all 3, and we're getting on to safety now as the 3rd one. So we talked about uptime and revenue generation and getting more revenue to reduce the amount of time things go down and stay down. The other thing we talked about is the bimodal workforce and getting that knowledge captured from those retirees and going down to the millennials. That's the tacit knowledge capture. The 3rd is safety, and it's one that's the most near and dear to my heart. I mean, there are people that die every year from falling from heights. It's category. Falls is, I think, the 2nd most expensive problem in construction and cellular tower maintenance and all this. People literally fall and die or become severely injured. And so it is absolutely a passion of mine to prevent these types of things. And something like this, which just clips into your existing personal protective equipment. You can wear it on your right eye, and watch this. This is kind of cool. Did you see how it flipped over like that? Well, if I put this over on the left side, what it does is it basically flips the screen so that symmetrically, if I prefer my left eye over my right, I can do either one. But let's get back to the safety discussion. One is, people talking a lot about augmented reality. You hear this about augmented reality being the new interface and stuff like that. What I find in augmented reality, being in the space for about 7–8 years myself, is there's too much augmented and not enough reality, okay? I put this on my head and I wear it down below my line of sight, like a dashboard on my car. I have a boom arm that drops down below my peripheral vision and stretches it out right there. So now I have a completely unabated field of view. All right, so I have no blockage of my peripheral, no blockage of my vision. I have reality. That's where I'm working. I don't need this thing in front of my face as I'm working on something in front of me. I want to just get a snap of information. I just want to say, what's the color of wire that I need to clip next? Down, up, blue, clip. Okay? So now, because I'm not using my hands to pull something out, check the color of wire, have a piece of paper, do something like that, I'm able to drive everything with my voice. So the one thing we can't do, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I can't, if it's not listening to me, I have to push one button to get it to listen. Now it's listening. So if I say, my files, wiring layout, zoom level 3, freeze document. Okay, there's 3 different colored wires, black, green, blue, something, I'm not sure what color that is, and then black. Okay, yeah, maybe, light green, yeah, you're probably right. So, so here I am looking down at these wires, and now I glance down at my dashboard, I glance up at my work, and I'm working on wire 1, wire 2, wire 3. I want to go to another section of the actual system. I say, control document. I pan my head, find what I want to look for. Freeze document. And it's a little jittery on the big screen, but when I look at it, it's extremely stable on my smaller screen when you're adjusting your head. So now I'm working on whatever the solenoid or whatever I have over here on this side, and I'm working on this section of the thing. And again, most of my work's up here. And in fact, there might be a procedure or a step that I just want to completely get the thing out of my way, or swing it up like that, or like I had it before, swing it all the way back. I don't even want the doggone thing bothering me at all. So I take a second and get it out of my way. Oh, wait, I forgot what color wire that was again. Let me get it back. As a dashboard, now I'm looking at it. So we try to think about industry, period. We don't think about consumers. This thing isn't designed, this isn't cool and slick and super, space age and all that in the design. It's a black system, right? It's just flat black. We are targeting this as a tool from the very beginning of the architecture, from the very first time we started engineering this. And we think about things like safety. And we think about things like industrial design and the ergonomics and the human factors. Of course, we've got 50 pieces or something right now in pilots, on folks' heads, climbing towers, absolutely using this in situ. And the response has been just humbling. I mean, absolutely like eye-watering.
You're speaking like the right language through this. You started off this whole thing talking about downtime, Lean, Six Sigma, and talking about safety. You've clearly taken this idea of distracted manufacturing out of the puzzle, which is what having something in front of your face freaks out EHS professionals as soon as they see it. And so you seem to address that. And you have this big response from real manufacturers in the field. So, I'm wondering how you pulled that off. Because you're a technology company, you're a wearable company, but you seem to have a really firm grasp on the manufacturing world and the needs and the lives of the manufacturers. So, from your company and your design background for your company, how did you collect that information? And how did you get that pulse?
Yeah, that's take a picture of me because that was a great leading question. Take photo. There we are.
Great.
All right. So mute microphone. Okay, that's a great question. I started out not as a technologist. I started out as a young enlisted man in the Navy, and I was what's called an electronics technician, and my job was maintenance, repair, and operations. And for 11 years, that's all I did. 11 years in the Navy, I maintained and worked on and operated nuclear power plants. Okay, so right there, I start from a completely different vector than a pure technologist that got out of Stanford, settled in Silicon Valley, just built technology, okay? And you see a lot of folks, brilliant folks, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be disparaging, but when you're building for industry, it is a completely different game than building for consumer. It's a completely different game. And so I take my MRO in industrial experience as a chief engineer at Raytheon, as a 11 years active duty, 14 years reservist, 25 years total retired Navy officer. I take my chief product officer's background, which is, his last company was called Sonine Technologies, which is a company that builds ultra rugged Android phones for industry, oil and gas, and that sort of thing. And then, so got the people with the background, so that's not enough. That's still not enough. So why not? Because we don't know every industry, we don't know everything. We leverage a very, very cool software tool called AHA, A-H-A, AHA. And this is a product management, requirements management tool. And what we do is we open up a customer end of this requirement management tool, and we say, as you're out there in the field, working through this application, trying to get this running, dial into this website that we have, this program that we have, and put in your requirement. Tell us what's working and what's not working. So we are a company, some people say, oh, you're a voice company. No, you know what? We're actually a listening company, not a voice company. We do active listening, where we are intelligently trying to pick up on what people are saying and then interpret it and then give them the information that they need when they need it. Okay? We are also culturally, in our fiber at RealWear, an active listening company. We are humble, we listen, we tune our focus outside the world, and we listen to what the people actually doing the work are saying. And I've got great partners out there that are doing the work that aren't the innovation guys. No offense to the innovation guys, but sometimes they're even out of touch with what's really going on. But we get in the field with the people doing the great work that they're doing in Middle America, and we team with those folks and we listen to what they say. And that's how I think we get it right.
I think we've had a lot of great information about this. I think it's about time we played with it.
All right, let's get started. Yeah.
All right.